I guess it's up and down. My mood disorder, I guess. Probably more down more than up, I guess. The diagnosis is pretty, it can be pretty severe. Manic depression. I don't think so, but they probably know. They're professionals, you know. Probably 9 or 10 years now, I guess. Probably started before that until I got sick. When it started, it's kind of weird. My wife was pregnant there. You know, like we're together for a couple of years there and stuff, and then she wanted to have a baby, sort of thing and stuff. Yeah, it was the weirdest. I thought I was dying of a heart attack, and my heart was just a pumping. Like I mean, like if I just ran the Miracle Mile, it was the weirdest thing. And the weirdest thing, I went all numb, and I guess I collapsed. And they called the ambulance. Like I blanked out, and it took a while, but they put me on a heart machine and everything. Like when I woke up and stuff, I thought I was a goner. Probably 29. Now I'm 53. 23 years, what it's been like. Comes and goes, I guess. Now it's got a hold of me, I think. Sort of thing. Before, sort of, it got me, and then sort of went away, and then it just hit me once in a while, sort of, if it makes sense or whatever. Tired a lot. Didn't want to work or do anything or whatever. The worst part of the depression is sinking down. Dying. Well, I don't know, like, it's sort of like this description of being so low there is sort of like death, I guess. Death wish, maybe, sort of. The whole day, and then the morning is better, and sometimes not. If I dwell on it there, or it takes a hold, or whatever, it could be several days. I take more I up the medication if I can. What I'm supposed to be doing. It stabilizes, is what I feel like it does. If I don't change my mind and my options and my opinion and chemical balance or whatever, I just seem to get worse. I think this disorder happened because probably it runs in the family, like for my father. Like he used to turn blue or whatever, and all that kind of like super anxiety. I think he suffered more of a eclipse or whatever, like a panic attack or whatever and stuff like that. But that's a anxiety disorder. It either bumps you right up or it bumps you right down. In my case, it's down. If I don't have nothing to get up for, then it depends. Like go for a walk, or if I wake up, it's like, what am I going to do today? Like if I got nothing to schedule and stuff like that, do I just sit around or whatever, you know what I mean? Or smoke cigarettes and all that stuff or whatever. It's that ticking time bomb clock, I call it, in my life now is, you know, it's going tick, tick, tick. It's like 7:30. I haven't touched a drop. It's like 8 o'clock, 5 after 8 there. It's like, okay, well, I'll crack one open there. Sip on it very slowly. Sometimes I just off the ball, I go home and that's it. And I just start drinking one after another. I'm going to say present, but not too extreme, where I got to really like take a lot of medications and stuff. It's been quite a while, maybe a few years, 2 or 3 years, when I was all upset there or whatever, and I went to bed there, and then my legs started shaking or whatever, and same kind of feeling, like you want to call the ambulance. But I know what I did is I just took an extra. I made sure that I had the medication in the bedroom. It's weird. You can feel the blood like almost like it's pushing up towards your brain there or whatever, and it's like you just blank out. this is outreach here. There's a lot of volunteers. I could have been a volunteer, but anyways, they decided to pay me, so I guess I'm part of the church, I guess, staff. I don't want to be doing nothing from 53 to 63 or something like that. I don't know. That's both jobs or whatever, but the VOCEC and stuff like that is a work program. They want to get these work programs up in place for people so they can get out of their home and better their lives. Work does keep me active and healthy. But I think with the losses and stuff in my life, I think I'm afraid of somebody dying next, and I'm afraid of quitting. Well, I love going for walks, which I mentioned, things I love to do. Sometimes I bring the guitar on a nice day and just sort of, like bring out my sheet music and stuff like that.
Been a musician almost all my life, but mainly playing guitar. I started when I was 13, and music is it's a form of expression. It's a way to get your feelings out in a healthy way. I was diagnosed at age 27, so I've had my diagnosis for half my life now. I was diagnosed with type 1 bipolar disorder, and that's considered kind of the more severe version of bipolar, where the highs go extremely high and the lows can be also extremely low. It was difficult to come to terms with the fact that I was going to be living with a mental illness for the rest of my life. There's a lot of stigma around it, self-stigma. At its worst, it can be very isolating, and you can self-isolate where, there are times when if I'm really depressed, I don't really want to get out too much. I don't want to do too much or see certain people. And the depression is, it can be quite painful, like psychologically, loneliness. I have been hospitalized several times, actually, always for mania, never for depression. In some ways, I think the mania is easier to recognize and for other people to realize that, there's something going on with me that they don't quite understand, or now that I've been diagnosed, they can say, oh, he's getting sick again. And so I'll go to hospital usually for about a month or two, and medications get adjusted, and I'm taken care of until things level out again. My family's been very supportive, which I'm very thankful for. They don't always understand the illness, but they know that when I'm ill, that it is an illness, and they don't really hold things against me. With other people, relationships, friends and acquaintances, I find that there's often less of a understanding there, and so relationships do suffer, definitely. I think having bipolar has affected pretty much every part of my life. I've had to change careers a few times that I might not have otherwise had to change. But after being ill, just trying to make a fresh start of my life, and I'd go back to school and learn maybe a similar trade to what I did before, but something different enough that I could do a fresh start with. Yeah, I think in terms of goals, I always thought that I'd have a family, maybe by age 30 kind of thing, and that hasn't worked out. Still single and never married. And I think that is a reflection also of my illness and the struggle and the stress that it's put on relationships over the years. So it definitely has affected my goals and my expectations for life. Like I say, I've lost friendships, I've lost careers, I've lost my home a few times after coming out of hospital and not having anywhere to go. Yeah, I have been homeless in Toronto and Kingston both. In Toronto, I found that there was actually more social services and supports for people. I think the daily stress of being on the street kept me sick longer. The daily challenges of living with bipolar would be managing emotions, powerful emotions. At times, like I said before, maybe not being able to always trust your feelings if the illness is starting to kick in and things get a little bit out of hand, then it's time to see the doctor and maybe change medication a little bit. I'm on 3 different medications right now. One is an injection that I get every month, and I take tablets also every day, morning and night, that are mood stabilizers. So they ensure that my mood doesn't get too high or too low, and the medication could be adjusted if there are signs that the illness is starting to kick in. The main side effect that I've noticed is weight gain, and that's pretty common for a lot of the mood stabilizers that are out there. It's a bit of a burden having extra weight, but it's a blessing to have medication that actually works and that's effective. My condition can get worse if I'm not sleeping properly, not eating properly, if I decide to use any kind of street drugs. Marijuana, especially for me, seems to get me into trouble, so I have to stay away from that. I think the positive side of it is you learn about yourself. You have to be really in tune with your feelings. I've got more compassion definitely for people who are homeless and also struggling with similar types of problems. Having been there, it opened my heart a lot to people who are going through it. I am able to work. I've had a part-time job now for almost 2 years doing peer support with people. That's people with mental health and addiction struggles, and find that very rewarding. I work kind of part-time relief work, so it isn't too much that I have to, gear my whole life around my job. So I have enough time off to keep refreshed and recharged, and it's really been a blessing to be able to work with people that are struggling themselves and maybe pass on a little bit of wisdom or something that I've learned from over the years. If I was to meet somebody that was just diagnosed with bipolar, I would definitely tell them that it's a difficult diagnosis to come to terms with. You're going to have some struggles with your relationships. Are gonna, there's a struggle with relationships. It's very important to stick to your medication, to stay in touch with your doctor, and find some way in your life to have quiet time to reflect and be still and come to terms with your emotions. Emotions can be very powerful and overwhelming for people with bipolar, and it's important to keep them in check. It's definitely possible to have a fulfilling, productive life with bipolar. It's just a little more of a challenge.
So my mood and anxiety disorder has been with me for many years, and there's some days like I'm okay and there's other days I'm not. But I've learned it doesn't define who I am. It's just a part of who I am. I'm Patricia. I'm a mother. I'm a worker. I'm a friend. I'm a nurse. I'm a doctor to my kids. But it's not. I'm not Patricia with depression, anxiety, and mood disorder. I'm Patricia. So it doesn't define who I am. It just complements who I am. I would say I had mood and anxiety and depression right from, I don't know, as far as I can remember. I attempted to take my life and wasn't successful, thank God. And that's when it was like the breaking point of I need help and I need it now. Once I got through that and I had a diagnosis, then I began to I knew that, hey, there's something I got to do here. I got to get myself well again. And now that I know what I have, I can work on that. I can say that I honestly have taken so many different kind of meds that I couldn't even name them. I finally got a combination that's working for me. And I also too have meds that if it doesn't, I can take it on a PRN, which is as needed dosage. If I'm having a little more bad days than good, then I have an extra med I can take for those days to help me cope. Sometimes it's hard to describe. It can happen at like any time. Like my mood can change any time. I could be okay and then not okay, or I can be high as a kite and just feel like I could take on the world, and and everything's going well, and then all of a sudden I can be stuck in that spot. So it's taken me many years to get to the point where I am now, where I can identify, like if I start to notice that I'm not wearing my jewelry. One thing was my jewelry. It's always a part of my wellness. If I wear my rings, my bracelets, and my earrings. If I'm lacking in any one of those things, whoa, okay, you need to look at yourself and you need to find out what's going on. Why don't you have these things on? So something's happening, right? Or if I notice that I don't have the enthusiasm that I used to have, then whoa, something's happening, Or if I'm starting to avoid things, whoa, something's happening. But it's taken me many years to get to the point where I can identify these things. So I'll leave work and I'll get in the car and I'll turn up my music, and just it kind of takes away everything. And that's one of the things I do to keep well. Or nature. Nature really resonates with me. It kind of soothes my soul, and I feel really at peace when I'm out, like even walking in like a trail or something like that, or being just out in an environment where I can see things like animals or the trees or smells, different things that are just, they're very relaxing for me. So I love that. And also too, I have a skinny pig, and her name's Hippo. And she's a beautiful little hairless little thing. And when I'm not having a good day, I have her to she makes me feel good. So there's different things that I do to keep myself well, but I always find that it's ever changing. It's sometimes it will work for you and you'll be okay and you'll be fine. And then other times you're like, yeah, this is not doing it for me. So what else do I do? Also too, I've come to the conclusion and I've accepted the fact that recovery isn't a short process and it's personal. It's however long it's going to take me. It could take me my lifetime. I don't care, really. It just shows that I acknowledge and I know that things will always, I'll always have to work on them to keep myself where I am, right? It's had a good impact on my life, too, because I have 3 children that all have mental health issues. And my youngest one has a lot that are very intense. So I can kind of get where she's coming from, and I can relate, and I can have a conversation with her. And also too, within this organization, it's helped me a lot because I can relate to people on a more personal note. So, and I feel really good about what I do because I have that connection. Basically, I work in addictions. We're umbrellaed under addictions and mental health. And I oversee centers across Southeast Ontario. My goal is to make sure that each place is running and is a positive, safe environment for other people who are going through stuff with addictions and mental health. At the end of the day, I know that I've helped people, and and I know I'm proud of what the staff do. And it's very rewarding for me when I have staff or even a peer, saying that they really appreciate me. They really appreciate what I'm doing, or they really, they're thankful for this or they're thankful for that. Gratitude means a lot. Yeah, definitely. I was like, oh, I have this connection.
Some people walk away that way too, right? What I might do is, if you don't mind, I might get a quick shot of you walking towards your car.
Yes.
Getting in your car and stuff.
Yes, that would be perfect.
And then we'll close the center up.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to throw some money in the car? Yes. Make sure that we don't get a ticket yet.
Yeah, I get that.
Thanks a lot for spending this time with us, Patricia.
Hey, no worries. It's a good way to end my day.
Yeah.
I'll just go to the Italian store, get some goods.
Some change? Yeah.